I never expected my sister's husband, Mark, to be capable of such cold betrayal. When I discovered he was secretly siphoning off our family's inheritance, everything I thought I knew shattered. The emotional manipulation, the financial deception, the explosive confrontation, it all led to a reckoning no one saw coming. I'm Jack, 38, from Cleveland, Ohio. My life was ordinary, or so I thought, until last Tuesday at exactly 7:45 p.m. That's when everything flipped. I was standing in my kitchen, peeling a green apple, watching the rain smear the streetlights outside. My phone buzzed with a message from my sister, Emily. Can we talk? It's urgent. My stomach clenched. Emily's usually context meant trouble. Emily and her husband Mark have always seemed like the perfect couple. Mark's a polished lawyer, late 40s, with that slick, confident smile that made people trust him instantly. I always liked him, but sometimes I got this uneasy vibe, like something was lurking beneath the surface. I called Emily right away. What's up? You sound serious. There was a pause, then she said, Jack, it's about the family estate, Dad's trust. There are discrepancies, money missing, and Mark's involved. I dropped the apple, the sharp thud echoing in the quiet kitchen. My dad's estate? That trust was supposed to secure our futures, my sister's and mine. The idea that Mark might be pulling strings behind our backs was like a punch to the gut. I told her to calm down, but inside, a storm was brewing. I needed to see this for myself. That night, I sat staring at the dim glow of the laptop screen, digging through scanned documents Emily had sent me. Figures didn't add up. Hundreds of thousands vanished, quietly, over the past year. Suddenly, a text popped up from Mark. Jack, can we talk? It's urgent. My heart raced. Was this a coincidence, or was I stepping into a trap? The kitchen phone rang. I picked up. Mark's voice was low but steady. Meet me at the old Marina Pier, 9 p.m, alone. I glanced outside. The rain hadn't stopped. Part of me screamed to walk away, but I couldn't. Not now. As I pulled on my jacket and headed out, I couldn't shake the feeling that this night would change everything. And it did. The old Marina Pier was drenched in fog, the salty smell of Lake Erie mixing with the cold night air. My boots splashed through puddles as I made my way to the end of the dock. The wooden boards creaked underfoot, echoing in the silence. Mark was there, leaning against a rusted railing, his short suit soaked through. His face looked drained, like the confident man I knew had been replaced by someone else. When he saw me, he straightened, forcing a smile. Jack, he said, voice quieter than usual. Thanks for coming. I crossed my arms. Cut to the chase. What's this about the trust? He sighed, looking out over the dark water. I didn't want it to come to this, but there are things you don't know, things about your family, about your father. My mind raced. What are you talking about? Mark glanced back at me. Your dad wasn't just the man you thought he was. He made some bad choices, and I've been trying to fix the mess. I frowned. Fix the mess? By stealing from us? No, Mark snapped, eyes flashing. I took some money, but only what was necessary to keep the company afloat. Your sister thinks she's protecting you all, but she's blind. The real danger is bigger than inheritance. I wanted to ask what danger, but a loud splash interrupted us. I looked over the edge. Something dark disappeared beneath the water. Mark's expression hardened. I didn't come here to argue. I came because you're the only one who can help me stop what's coming. I felt a chill run down my spine, mixing with the cold wind. This wasn't just about missing money anymore. It was deeper. Darker. I asked, what do you want from me? Mark's voice dropped to a whisper. Trust me for once. Meet me tomorrow at my office. I'll explain everything. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He checked it quickly and stiffened. Jack, there's someone watching me. They know we talked. Suddenly, the night didn't feel cold. It felt dangerous. As I walked back to my car, questions swirled in my head. Was Mark lying? Or was he trapped in something worse than I imagined? Back home, Emily's worried face popped into my mind. I realized this was bigger than just family money. Something was rotten beneath the surface of everything we knew, and I was standing right in the middle of it. The next morning, I found myself standing outside Mark's office building downtown, an old brick structure with ivy crawling up its walls. The city was just waking up. Honking cars and distant chatter filled the air, but inside, everything felt suffocatingly tense. Mark greeted me with a shaky nod and led me into a small, cluttered conference room. He closed the door behind us, and suddenly the polished lawyer disappeared. His eyes were haunted, the lines around his mouth deeper. Jack, he started. There's a hidden part of Dad's business, an offshore account Dad set up years ago. It wasn't just for tax reasons. There are investments tied to shady groups I can't name. I blinked. Why didn't Dad tell us? Why keep the secret? Mark shook his head. He wanted to protect you and Emily, but someone else knew, someone close. My stomach dropped. Who? Mark hesitated, then pulled out an envelope from his briefcase. Proof, emails, transactions, your sister. She's been manipulated. There's a woman, Claire, Dad's old business partner. She's been pulling strings behind the scenes, funneling money from the estate into her own accounts, and Emily's been blinded by her charm. I felt my pulse quicken. Claire Emily had mentioned meeting a woman named Claire once, but never said much more. Mark continued. I tried to stop it, took some money back to cover losses, but Claire's powerful, and she's threatening to ruin everything family, business, even Emily's reputation. My head was spinning. This wasn't just a family dispute anymore. It was a full-blown financial war, with people using secrets and lies as weapons. I looked Mark in the eye. We need to tell Emily. He shook his head for slow, urgent. Not yet. If Claire's suspects were onto her, she'll move faster. We have to gather evidence, build a case, but there's more. I waited, heart pounding. Mark's next words hit me like a thunderclap. Your father wasn't just a victim. He was involved deeper than anyone thought. He owed Claire more than money. He owed her a secret, one that could destroy this family. The room suddenly felt colder. I swallowed hard. What secret? Mark's face paled. I'm still piecing it together, but I think your sister's entire life might be a lie. I sat back, stunned. The ground beneath me felt like it was cracking open. Mark's phone buzzed again. He glanced at it, eyes wide. They're watching me more closely now. We don't have much time. As I left the office, the autumn wind bit at my face. I knew the family was on the edge of something dark and irreversible, and the next revelation was about to tear us apart. That night, I was still sitting at my kitchen table, nursing a half-cold cup of coffee, when my phone buzzed. Emily's name flashed on the screen, but her voice was barely recognizable, shaken, raw. Jack, I need to tell you something, she whispered, voice trembling. I leaned back, heart racing. What's going on? You sound scared. She swallowed hard. It's about Claire and Dad. I found old letters in Mont Atticaden, like she never wanted me to see them. I frowned, picturing our late mother's neat, private nature. Letters, what did they say? Emily hesitated, then took a shaky breath. Claire wasn't just Dad's business partner, she was Mom's best friend. More than that, Mom was protecting us from something terrible. Claire and Dad had a secret, and I think Mom knew it could destroy our family. I felt a cold wave hit my chest. What kind of secret? Emily's voice cracked. Dad had another family. Another daughter, a girl born when Mom thought they were separated. Claire helped him hide her. I stared at the ceiling, trying to digest the weight of that. Half-siblings. Lies. My father had built his entire legacy on a foundation of secrets. Emily went on, voice barely audible. And I think Claire's been blackmailing Dad, or whoever controls the estate now. That's why money's been disappearing. That's why Mark's been desperate. Why didn't you tell me before? I asked, frustration bubbling under the surface. I was scared, Jack, scared that everything would fall apart, but now I realized we're already broken. I rubbed my temples. The family I thought I knew was unraveling fast. I thought about Mark. Was he really the villain, or just another pawn caught in this twisted game? Suddenly the phone crackled, and a text popped up on my screen from an unknown number. Stop taking, or you'll regret it. My hands trembled. This wasn't just a family drama anymore. This was a warning. I glanced out the window. The street was empty, but I felt eyes on me. I whispered, more to myself than anyone else, this isn't over. We met at Emily's apartment the next morning, an old brick building in Cleveland's warehouse district, filled with sunlight filtering through dusty windows. The tension in the air was thick. Mark paced near the kitchen while Emily sat on the worn couch, clutching a mug like it was a lifeline. I sat between them, my mind replaying the anonymous threat from last night. We needed a plan, but everything felt like quicksand. Mark's phone buzzed sharply. He glanced at the screen, then froze. His face went pale. It's from Claire. We all fell silent. He reluctantly answered. His voice was low, cautious. I could barely make out the words, but then Mark's eyes snapped wide open. Wait, you're telling me what? He said, voice tight. That's impossible. He ended the call abruptly, slamming the phone down. Claire is accusing me of betrayal, claiming I'm working against her, but there's something else. She said she has proof I've been siphoning money to someone else. Emily's eyes narrowed. Who would Mark be working with? He looked at me, conflicted. I don't know, but I need to come clean. Jack, there's something I haven't told you. My pulse hammered. What? Mark swallowed hard. The offshore accounts, they're not just about Dad. I've been funneling some money back to someone you know, someone very close. My stomach twisted. Who? Mark's phrase cracked. Emily. I shot a look at my sister. She stared at the floor, tears welling up. What the hell is going on? I demanded. Emily finally spoke, voice shaking. I've been trying to protect our family. After Mom died, Claire threatened to expose that secret to her if I didn't cooperate, so I helped Claire hide the money, thought it would keep the family safe. Mark nodded grimly. I was trying to get the money back without blowing up the family, but it spiraled out of control. I sank into the chair, numb. Betrayal. Lies. The family secrets buried so deep they poisoned everything. Then Mark pulled out an envelope. There's one more thing. He handed it to me. Letters from Dad. He confessed everything before he died, about the other family, about Claire and... He paused, voice dropping. About me. I blinked. You? Mark swallowed. I'm not just your sister's husband, I'm your half-brother too. Dad had me with Claire years ago. Silence. My world shattered again. Emily gasped, "Mark, why didn't you tell me?" He looked down. "I wanted to, but I was scared, afraid it would destroy what we had." I stared at him, heart pounding. The man I trusted was family in a way I never imagined, and the trust we'd all broken felt impossible to mend. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Emily's phone buzzed. Another message popped up on my screen. "You're meddling in things you don't understand. Leave now." I looked at Mark. This isn't over, not by a long shot. The sharp knock at the door echoed through Emily's apartment like a gunshot. I glanced at Mark and Emily. Their faces were pale tense. I opened the door to two police officers in dark uniforms, badges gleaming under the harsh hallway light. "Jack Robinson?" one asked. "That's me," I said cautiously. "We're investigating a financial fraud case linked to the Robinson estate," the officer said. "We need to ask you some questions." My throat tightened. The estate? The missing money? Everything was boiling over now. They stepped inside, eyes scanning the room. I motioned for Emily and Mark to sit. The officers began with routine questions: dates, names, finances. Then came the hammer. "Mark Thompson has been named a person of interest," one officer said, voice cold. "There's evidence of unauthorized transfers totaling over $700,000. Do you know anything about this?" Mark's jaw clenched. "I was trying to recover some of the money stolen by Claire that was to protect the family." The officers exchanged glances. "We also have reason to believe this might be connected to a larger fraud ring." Emily shook her head, tears brimming. "I didn't know, I swear. I only wanted to protect my family. I wanted to believe them." But a dark seed of doubt had taken root. One officer handed me a folder. "We found this in your father's old files emails between your dad, Claire, and an unknown third party. The name Rebecca keeps coming up." Rebecca. My mind raced. Could this be the secret daughter? Was she involved in this mess? Before I could ask, Mark's phone buzzed violently. He glanced down and bailed. "It's Claire again," he muttered. "She's escalating." Emily's sobs grew louder. "Jack, this is tearing us apart." I clenched my fists, feeling the weight of betrayal and responsibility crushing me. The family I loved was unraveling in front of my eyes. The officers left with a warning: "Stay available for further questioning, and be careful." Once the door shut, Mark looked at us, exhausted. "We need to find Rebecca before Claire does." I nodded. "Or before Claire destroys everything." As we sat in the silence, a message popped on my phone from an unknown number. "We know where Rebecca is. Meet me at Riverside Park, alone, 9 p.m. I looked at Emily and Mark. This just got a whole lot worse. The clock read 8:55 p.m. as I stood beneath the flickering street lamp at Riverside Park, the cold August air sticky with humidity. The distant hum of traffic mixed with the rustling leaves overhead. My heart pounded in my chest like a warning drum. Mark and Emily have refused to come. They were too scared, and honestly, I didn't blame them. This felt like a trap, but I had to know the truth. A shadow detached itself from the darkness near the worn playground. A woman stepped forward, her face half hidden beneath a hood. She held out a manila envelope. "I'm the one who sent the message," she said quietly. "Call me sir. I know where Rebecca is." I took the envelope cautiously. Inside were photos of an elegant woman, mid-30s, with striking green eyes and an uncanny resemblance to Dad. The name Rebecca was scribbled on the back. "Who is she?" I asked. Sarah's eyes flicked nervously around. "She's your half-sister, but more than that. She's the key to everything. Claire's been using her to control the estate, but Rebecca wants out." I felt a mix of relief and dread. "Where is she now?" Sarah hesitated, then whispered, "Safe for now, but Claire has eyes everywhere. Rebecca's in hiding." I glanced down at the photos again, then looked up. "Why are you helping me?" Sarah smiled sadly. "Because I was one of Claire's victims, and I want justice." Suddenly, a sharp noise cracked through the night, a twig snapping. Sarah's face went white. "We're not alone," she hissed. I turned, catching the flash of a car speeding away down the empty street. Sarah grabbed my arm. "You need to get out of here. Claire's men are watching." As I backed away, heart pounding, Sarah whispered, "Find Rebecca before Claire finds you first." When I reached my car, my phone buzzed again. A message from Emily: "Be careful. We found something, Dad's last will. It's not what we expected." I swallowed hard. Dad's will. Another bomb waiting to explode. As I started the engine, I felt the weight of all the secrets crashing down. This family was more broken than I ever imagined. And somewhere in the shadows, Claire was watching. I woke up to Emily's cold just as the first week sunlight sifted through my blinds. Her voice was trembling, like she'd been crying for hours. "Jack, you need to come over, now." I grabbed my keys, heart pounding. When I arrived at her apartment, Emily was sitting at the kitchen table, a pile of papers spread before her. The will. Dad's last will and testament. I couldn't believe it, she whispered. Dad left almost everything to Rebecca, not us, not the company. He wanted her to have control. I stared at the faded, official document. Sure enough, in Dad's messy handwriting, Rebecca's name was in bold. The bulk of the inheritance left to her trust fund. And there was a chilling clause: should Rebecca prove unfit or disappear, the estate shall be liquidated and distributed to Claire Thompson. I felt bile rise in my throat. Claire was poised to inherit everything if Rebecca vanished. No wonder she'd been so ruthless. Emily wiped tears. That explains the blackmail, the money disappearing, everything. Claire's playing for keeps. Mark, sitting nearby, looked defeated. And we were pawns. I'd tried to keep us safe, but I was only buying time. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again. Another text: "You're digging too deep. Leave or lose everything." This time it came with a photo of my car, parked outside Emily's building, with a broken window. Emily gasped. "Jack, your car?" My stomach dropped. Whoever was behind this wanted us scared. And it was working. Mark looked at me, voice slow but fierce. "We have to fight back, for Rebecca, for the family Dad wanted us to protect." I nodded. "But first, we need to find Rebecca. If Claire controls her, it's game over." Emily looked determined. "I know someone who might help. It's an old family friend who's good with tracking people." The room felt charged with a desperate hope. But just as we were planning our next move, my phone rang. The caller ID was blocked. I answered, for steady but way. "Jack," a cold voice whispered, "you think you're the only one who's been betrayed. Think again." The line went dead. The next day, Emily arranged a meeting with Mr. Bennett, an old family friend who had helped Dad through tough times decades ago. We met at a quiet cafe in downtown Cleveland, the smell of fresh coffee mingling with the hum of morning chatter. Mr. Bennett was in his late 70s, his silver hair slicked back, eyes sharp despite his age. After we explained everything, he nodded gravely. "Rebecca isn't just hidden," he said, lowering his voice. "She's in witness protection." My heart sank. Witness protection? Why? Bennett sighed. Years ago, Rebecca testified against a dangerous crime syndicate. Claire's family has ties to them. That's why Claire's so desperate to find her. Emily's hands trembled. "So all this, the blackmail, the threats, they're tied to that syndicate?" "Exactly," Bennett confirmed. "Claire's the syndicate's inside player, using your family for cover." Mark looked pale. "And I thought I was the villain." Bennett leaned in. "You caught in a war that's bigger than all of you." Just then, my phone buzzed again, another text from the unknown number. "Meet me at the old warehouse on 5th Street, midnight, alone." I glanced at Emily and Mark. The fear in their eyes mirrored my own. Midnight at the warehouse. It had the smell of a setup. I couldn't ignore it. That night, I drove alone to the warehouse district. The air was thick with fog, shadows stretching long under flickering street lamps. My footsteps echoed as I entered the derelict building. A figure stepped out from the darkness. Rebecca. She looked exhausted but defiant. "Jack," she said, voice firm. "I'm glad you found me, but Claire's closer than you think." Before I could say a word, headlights flooded the doorway. Men in dark suits appeared, surrounding us. Rebecca's eyes locked with mine. "Trust no one." And then, the door slammed shut. Trapped in the warehouse, I faced the terrifying truth. Claire's reach was deeper than anyone imagined, and the betrayal was closer to home than I ever feared. The warehouse was cold and dank, the stench of rust and mildew thick in the air. My heart pounded so loud I was sure the men outside could hear it. Rebecca stood beside me, her green eyes sharp despite the exhaustion etched on her face. The men circled us silently, their faces hidden beneath shadows. One stepped forward, a tall man with a scar running down his left cheek. "Claire sends her regards," he said, voice low and threatening. "You're meddling where you shouldn't." I swallowed hard, gripping a broken pipe on the floor. "Let us go. This family's been torn apart enough." He laughed, cruel and cold. "Your family? You don't even know what family means." Suddenly, the warehouse doors burst open. Flashlights and uniforms flooded the room. The police swarmed in, guns drawn. Mr. Bennett and Emily rushed in behind them, breathless but determined. The leader of the men snarled, "This isn't over." But the officers were ready. Claire's network was finally exposed. The corrupt lawyer, the syndicate ties, the financial fraud, it all came crashing down. Mark appeared at the entrance, bruised but alive. He looked at me and Rebecca. "I'm sorry for everything." Rebecca stepped forward, her voice steady. "This ends tonight." In the weeks that followed, Claire was arrested, her empire dismantled. Dad's estate was legally transferred to Rebecca, with protections in place to keep it safe. Emily and Mark began the slow process of healing, and those scars remained. We found a new kind of family, one built on truth, not secrets. One night, standing on the porch of my childhood home, I looked up at the stars and whispered, "Justice isn't always about revenge. Sometimes it's about finally facing the truth." And for the first time in a long time, I felt peace.